On September 11th, 2025, Bethan Hardison, activist, asked Yara Shahidi, activist, in a Forbes interview on how she felt about her world right now. Yara answered honestly by saying she is terrified and would like a plan to fix it. I empathize in that no one should live in fear. In my opinion, this sounds like a plea for help. I want to help, but how? When Yara Shahidi was younger, she did an equality speech on October 19, 2018, the Gleason Respect Awards. I argue the speech is a hypothesis to fix her world and to reduce her fear. In April 2024, I published my book on Amazon based on this hypothesis, showing that prevention will lead to equity and that equity will lead to equality. This hypothesis will fix the political, economic, and social problems in her world and our world. This nonprofit, not-edited channel is a letter to Yara Shahidi and teaching Yara's hypothesis to the public in order to better our world. In the end, Yara Shahidi will get the Nobel Peace Prize for her hypothesis. This is chapter 24. Sorry, Dear Yara Shahidi. Order. Chapter 24. Abortion. Sorry. I mess up a lot. Not edited. When it comes to abortion, the United States says that access to abortion is a human right. Also, under international law, abortion is a human right. Plus, 61% of Americans in 2023 said that abortion should be legal in all, and 61% of Americans in 2023 said that abortions should be legal in all or most cases. Worldwide, 1 in 4 pregnancies end in an abortion every year. Even if a country says that abortions are illegal in their country, abortions still happen. There are actually higher rates of abortions in countries with strict laws against abortions. The countries with fewer abortions have education and access to abortions. For example, European nations are an example of this. There are 47 out of 50 nations within Europe that restrict abortion to 15 weeks or less. Plus, 20-week abortions internationally are restricted to most countries, including the United States. This makes sense because a fetus in the womb starts to feel pain at 24 weeks. So how can prevention be used in abortions? Let's consult the Bible about abortions first before answering this question. The word abortion does not appear in the Old or New Testament of the Bible. Actually, the topic of abortion is not directly mentioned at all. Abortions were known and practiced in biblical times. The 2nd century Greek physician Soranus recommended fasting, bloodletting, vigorous jumping, and carrying heavy loads as a way to end a pregnancy. Even though abortion is not in the Bible, abortion opponents turn to several Bible texts to make their argument. There are several biblical texts together to suggest that human life has value before birth. For example, the Bible opens up by describing the creation of humans in the image of God. This is a way to explain the value of life before humans are born. Another way is that the Bible describes several important prophets of God, and they are Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Apostle Paul. These 3 were called to their sacred task by God since their time in the womb. Psalms 139 says that God knit these 3 prophets together in their mother's wombs. People for abortions can also use the Bible for this support as well. Numbers 5:11-31 says that God mandated abortions for women deemed guilty of adultery. Hosea 13:16, God says he will cause the bellies of pregnant women to be ripped open. 2 Samuel 12:13-18, God committed and infanticide, abortion, and infanticide both from God. Another example, Exodus 21 suggests that a pregnant woman's life is more valuable than the fetus's life. The text describes a scenario in which 2 random men are fighting each other and one accidentally strikes a pregnant lady. This strike causes her to miscarry. As punishment for striking the lady, the man is given a monetary fine if the woman suffers no other harm beyond the miscarriage. Now, if the woman suffers additional harm from the man's accidental strike, then the man will suffer more punishment for his crimes. If a woman loses her life from the strike, then the man can lose his life as well. It's a life for a life. Another passage from the Bible is from the 5th chapter of the Gospel of Mark. This chapter describes a woman with a gynecological ailment. This woman is bleeding continuously. This woman is menstruating. Women who were menstruating back in Jesus' time were believed to cause ritual contamination. A woman reaches out to touch Jesus' cloak in hopes that it will heal her. Jesus commends her choice and praises her faith. Lastly, in the Gospel of John, Jesus' follower Mary seemingly wastes resources by pouring an entire container of costly ointment on Jesus' feet, and then she used her own hair to wipe them. Jesus defends Mary's decision to break the social taboo around touching an unrelated man so intimately. In the end, Christians who have condemned or approved abortions have appealed to any number of texts in the Bible to assert that their way of thinking is right. Although the Bible was written at a time when an abortion was practiced, the Bible cannot be used as a reference for evidence condemning or approving of abortions. Let's talk about prevention for abortions. Now, for the record, people like to have sex with each other. There is really no way anyone can stop that. Plus, it is one of the ingredients necessary to make people happy and wealthy. Plus, it is one of the ingredients necessary to make people happy and healthy. Not wealthy, healthy. It has been proven over and over again that sex education, contraception, it has been proven over and over again that sex education, and contraception reduce unwanted pregnancies. Even with the best knowledge and practices using contraception to prevent an unwanted pregnancy, pregnancies can still happen with faulty equipment made by the manufacturer. There needs to be a more permanent solution or solutions to preventing abortions. There are 2 solutions that I found that can help in preventing abortions. The first solution is one that I have done. This solution is for the guys to be snipped or to have a vasectomy, and for the girls to have their tubes tied or tubular ligation at 18 years of age or older. For myself, I was snipped more than 10 years ago because I felt I was too young and not financially responsible to have kids. When I did my vasectomy, it cost me $1,000 out of pocket without insurance, and after a painful weekend to recover, I was fine. As of 2023, a vasectomy costs $1,000 without insurance and $0 with insurance. It is 99% effective against pregnancies, and it lasts forever if needed. As of 2023, a tubal ligation costs $6,000 without insurance and $0 with insurance. It is also 99% effective against pregnancy, and it lasts forever if needed. Now, if I wanted kids with my wife in the future, then I would reverse my vasectomy. As of 2023, a reverse vasectomy costs $15,000. Heartburn. And it has an 85% successful rate. The average cost for a tubal ligation reversal is $8,685, but it can be as much as $21,000 depending on the tests needed to be done, because it has an 80% successful rate. The second step is for science and technology to be funded more to prevent abortions. For example, if a woman wants an abortion, then it is her right because it is her body. Now, if she had a choice of giving the fetus to another woman in the middle of her pregnancy, then this would be the direction on where science and technology needs to go. This would be called a fetal transplant from one woman who doesn't want the baby to a mother who wants the baby. What does this all mean? First of all, there is no real evidence for men or for women supporting the notion that there is a biological process that creates the longing for a child. The deep feelings of wanting to have a child have their roots and a learned desire for strong, long-standing social and cultural pronatal influences and not biological ones. If humans were born with an instinctual need to have kids, then all humans would feel it, but they don't. Plus, if having kids were instinctive, then there would be no need to introduce social messaging to encourage and influence reproduction and cultural and social pressures to have children either. For example, if your best friends are having kids, then you should have kids as well to be normal like them. If they are doing it, then you should do it too. Another example is that it is traditional to have kids because your parents did it, your grandparents did it, your ancestors did it, and so on and so on. If it is good enough for them, then it is good enough for you. In the end, biology has no influence on a person to have kids. Having kids comes down to the freedom of the individual when it is right for them or not at all, regardless of social and cultural pressures. Again, what does this all mean? When students turn 18, so the only on a biological basis, the biological connection kicks in when the baby is given to you. Then the biological connection is there for you to help the kid, protect the kid, feed the kid, even for the father. It's that nurturing basis that is in your what all mammals have kicks into, oh, this is my kid. I have to protect it now. I'm responsible for it now. That's when it kicks in, not when you're, oh, Sarah has a baby and I should have a baby. Oh, no, there's no biological connection there. It's just social. Oh, if Sarah's having a kid, then I should have a kid. Oh, yes, because it looks so good and they're just so pretty. They just look so good in their bassinet and they're so cute. No, there's no biological need. There's no biological connection. It's all social. That's all it is. When you're giving the kid, biological. When you see your friend having one, no. Again, what does this all mean? When students turn 18, it's so funny. You don't learn this until you actually do the research on this. It's so funny. Again, what does this all mean? When students turn 18, they will be introduced to a class about kids and abortions. They will learn that they choose when they have kids, and that there is no biological instinct to have kids. It is their freedom to have or not to have children. So you can go through your whole life and not have kids, and you'll be fine. I mean, from a biological state to a happiness state, there's no biological need to have children. I mean, for reproduction, because you don't have enough children, the population will go. But just from an individual biological need, no. It is their freedom to have or not to have children. They will also learn that having sex once a week leads to happiness with their partner. So important. Because if you're having troubles in your marriage or your relationship with your partner, gay, straight, asexual, well, not asexual, but transgender, heterosexual, whatever, that's the therapist always says, if you're having trouble, how many orgasms are you having, the big O, how many big O's are you having once a week? If you can just say once, then that's the bare minimum on a happy relationship. It's so simple. So simple. They will also know that having one child will cost They will also know that having one child will cost $310,605 in 2022 when raising them to 17 years old without college. They will also learn that they should pursue their purpose in life with a career, friends, a place to live, save up their money, become happy, take vacations, etc., as mentioned before. They will learn how to live the adventures of life first before having kids if needed. To prevent pregnancy, The students will learn about contraception first and how they are really good at preventing pregnancy. Next, they will learn about abortions and how they should be used as a last step to avoid pregnancy. They will learn about the ethics and morality about abortions as well. They will learn about the emotional difficulty on having an abortion, if they experience this pain, and their IP on preventative psychology can help with that. They will also learn that it's a woman's body and the woman should have the freedom to choose to have or not to have an abortion if they please. They will learn that an abortion is a human right under the UN, United Nations, as stated before. Lastly, the students will learn about having a vasectomy and tubal ligation as a choice as well. They will learn that preventative insurance will pay for the procedure when they are 18 years old or older. They will learn that if they do this procedure, then they can enjoy sex more with their partner without the fear of getting pregnant. They will learn how to freeze their eggs and sperm for later in life to use when they want to have kids. They will learn to save and invest their money when they want kids because, again, each child is really expensive to raise. They will learn to save their reverse vasectomies. They will learn to save for their reverse vasectomies and tubal ligations. They will also learn about consumer reports on the best doctors and best procedures in order to not do. They will learn about consumer reports on the best doctors and best procedures in order not to have kids, and then when they are ready to have kids. Each doctor and procedure will be listed and ranked to get the 99% effective rate not to have kids, and the 80% successful rate to reverse each procedure to have kids. Students should get the best information needed in order to avoid kids or pursue them if the desire is there. The whole point of this is that students will learn not to be in debt or in poverty when they have kids. Poverty leads to stress on the family for generations, as discussed before. Learning to save and to invest their money to have kids is the best route because it will lead to happier parents and then to happier kids without the stress of poverty. I argue if a man, woman, or non-binary person choose the vasectomy or tubal ligation, then abortions will go down significantly because it is a more permanent solution to avoid pregnancy. With more people doing them, then the technology will get better and better because there will be a thriving market for people not to get pregnant and for people to get pregnant. I wrote this. Just the word. It goes back and forth. I'm such a good writer. Put a awful speaker. Good times. Demand will be high in this market for success, and Consumer Reports will be there to list the best procedures and doctors in order to achieve this accomplishment. If this is a successful market practice with the science, technology, and the ethics making it possible, then not only will abortions will be mostly gone, but poverty as well. This freedom will give men, women, and non-binary people the financial freedom with their own biological. This freedom will give men, women, and non-binary people the financial freedom with their own biological choice to have or not to have kids on their schedule when the time is right for them. This is what freedom is all about. This is prevention. The second step is for science and technology to be funded more to prevent abortions under ethical understandings. For example, if a woman wants an abortion, then it is her right because it is her body. Now, if a woman or non-binary person had a choice of giving their fetus to another woman or non-binary person in the middle of their pregnancy, then this would be the funding science and technology needs to pursue under an ethical evaluation. This would be called a fetus transplant from one person who doesn't want the fetus to a mother who wants to birth a baby. Now, a fetus transplant can be done in theory, but the science and technology are not there yet. The challenge with the fetus transplant is the placenta because it can continuously supplies the fetus with oxygen and nutrients. The placenta needs to be removed from the birth mother's body. If this was done with today's technology, then there is a large chance that the birth mother would bleed to death. The placenta needs to be attached to the new mother's uterus. If this was done with today's technology, then the fetus's brain would encounter irreparable damage from the break of oxygen during the transfer. Finally, the fetus needs to be attached to the new mother. If this was done with today's technology, then the fetus would encounter immunological issues. Their immune system would be ruined, similar to the other transplant surgeries. The fetus has an immature or delicate immune system and is less capable of dealing with rejection. Plus, a successful fetus transplant would require science and technology breakthroughs in immunology, microscopic surgery, and tissue differentiation on a scale that would yield multiple Nobel Prizes. Even though the science and technology are not here today to stop abortions in order to do Even though the science and technology aren't here today to stop abortions in order to do fetus transplants, it doesn't mean in the future it could not happen. Scientists today have grown 6 lamb fetuses in artificial wombs. During their autopsies, the scientists discovered that they were on their way to becoming healthy lambs with all their organs functioning just fine. Now, this would be a huge ethical undertaking if this was done by growing humans in artificial wombs. Also, scientists have done 33 uterus transplants by 2021, and 19 of these women have had 21 babies. Plus, embryo transfers are being done today on a regular basis in order to help women and non-binary people to get pregnant. An embryo transplant is assisted reproduction in which embryos are placed in the uterus in order to get pregnant. These today technologies are real game changers for future research to be done on finding a way to do fetal transplants to end abortions. Now, for an individual to a culture who believes that abortions are murder for an embryo to a fetus, then fetus transplants are the answer. If there is a will and a way, then this culture of scientists should take the funding necessary to develop the science and technology to save the babies. This would be their purpose in life. If fetus transplants are successful with ethical reviews, duplications, peer reviews, and being published in science journals, then this could revolutionize the ethics and morality of humanity dealing with abortions. In the end, abortions would be eliminated and would be a game changer in understanding humanity's choices by saving babies and preserving their futures. That's in It's Nissan Chico. Sorry. I mean, duh, it's the end. Oh, man. It's Nissan Shigo. Kuchu. Sorry. Konnichiwa, Laloon movie. Of course it's the end, duh. Hola, buenos dias, adios, we all win together, de nada.